Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the source material you send us and, well, we explore the most valuable insights hidden inside. Think of it as your shortcut to getting really well informed.
Yeah, absolutely. And for this deep dive, you've given us some interesting stuff, excerpts from an 80-minute conversation. It's all digging into the June 2025 updates from OnPassive.
That's right. We've got pieces looking specifically at the refresh they announced for their ecosystem. And these things they're calling technology tables, plus a pretty significant update to how commissions work.
Okay. So our mission today seems pretty clear then. We need to unpack the key info from this, quite long conversation and help you figure out the significance of these changes, what it all signals for OnPassive moving forward.
Definitely. And the core idea, the one really hammered home in the source material, is that June 2025 isn't just, another month. They're presenting it as a really critical turning point, positioning OnPassive less like just a company launching stuff and more like this global movement. Powered by artificial intelligence, shifting from that foundational build-up phase into what they're calling bold global execution.
Bold global execution.
Okay, right. So let's unpack that. Where
Yeah.
does the source say this big shift actually starts? What's the foundation?
Well, the conversation puts a lot of weight on the infrastructure first. It talks about a massive transformation of the core OnPassive ecosystem, the OES.
Okay, massive transformation. So not just minor tweaks then. They're saying OES 2.0 architecture means something deeper has changed.
Exactly. The source suggests it's way beyond just, cosmetic stuff. It sounds like several core products got rebuilt or seriously upgraded, like at the architectural level.
Okay, like which ones? Does the source get specific about why those particular products needed a rebuild right now?
It does mention OConnect, for instance. That's apparently been rebuilt with new live streaming capabilities, interactive moderation tools, and enhanced multilingual support, too. The why seems connected to enabling, well, higher engagement and a much broader global reach for how users communicate and run events.
Okay, so serious upgrades for OConnect. Sounds like a push for more dynamic, more global interactions right there on the platform. What about other key tools?
Owallet, their payment system, that's also been enhanced. The source highlights features like dynamic commission tracking, secure withdrawals, and this sounds important, integrated regional processors. That could mean easier, maybe faster transactions around the world.
Right, addressing potential payment bottlenecks
Seems like it.
and dynamic commission tracking right in the wallet. That sounds interesting. Especially thinking about the commission changes. What about on the business side of things? Any updates there?
Yeah, for business intelligence and productivity, OTracker and Odesk are mentioned. They're supposed to offer real-time feedback and analytics now. And the design philosophy guiding all this, according to the source, is human-centered. Big focus on simplicity and automation. There's actually a key quote. Every product talks to each other.
Every product talks to each other. That quote really stands out, doesn't it? It implies a much more integrated system, maybe even like an automated user experience where data just flows seamlessly between all the different tools.
That integration seems absolutely key, yeah. And it leads us straight into what they're calling the new OnPassive tables. This seems to be the AI infrastructure backend that generated quite a bit of buzz in the conversation we looked at.
Ah, the tables.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds like where the AI really takes center stage. The source describes them as autonomous data tables. What does that actually mean in practice based on what they said?
Right. Autonomous data tables. And they link every user activity to performance insights. The source details that things like product performance, commission history, client behavior, even communication channels. They're now stored, predicted, and this is the key part, activated through these tables.
Stored, predicted, and activated. Okay, wait. That sounds like a lot more than just a fancy database.
It does. The CEO is quoted saying something like, "It's like having a living spreadsheet that not only knows your business, it advises it."
Wow.
Yeah, that quote really underlines the analytical layer that's powered by AI here. It's not just passive storage, it's an active system. It's analyzing patterns, potentially feeding insights back to users, or maybe even automating actions based on the data.
Okay, advises it is a strong phrase. So this AI infrastructure is essentially connecting all the dots, all the user activity, product performance, and drawing conclusions from it.
That's definitely the implication from the source material, yes. And this level of autonomous data management ties directly into the question everyone seems interested in: commissions.
Right, the part everyone wants to hear about. How do these AI tables connect to the commission structure updates discussed in the source?
Well, the automation part of these tables seems heavily applied to the new commission distribution model they announced for June. Payments are now scheduled 3 times a month, according to the source, specifically on the 5th, 15th, and 25th, and it's all processed through Owallet.
3 times a month. That's a specific rhythm.
Yep.
And the commission structure itself. The source mentioned different layers, things like founder's bonus, reseller commission, and global pool sharing. What did the conversation tell us about those?
Yeah, the source lists those as the different components, but the key insight, I think, from the conversation is how the distribution actually works across those layers. The AI system, the tables, are explicitly stated as determining the fair distribution.
The AI determines it.
Yeah.
How? How does the source say it actually does that? What factors is it looking at?
It evaluates things like customer retention, referrals, product activity levels, and even historical engagement. The quote here is quite telling. "We're not paying for luck. We reward participation, consistency, and impact." So that strongly suggests a performance-based model, right? Data-driven compensation, where the AI is analyzing how people contribute across various metrics to decide the payouts.
Reward participation, consistency, and impact. Okay, yeah, that sounds much more active than just paying based on volume or something.
Speaking of participants, the source mentions something specific for the original Founders Group. Founders Special Tables.
Yes, that definitely sounds like a specific benefit or maybe a tool just for that group. They're described as AI-based dashboards specifically for original founders, offering access to lifetime earnings info, detailed team performance analytics, and apparently unlocking certain leadership perks as well. Lifetime earnings, team analytics. That makes sense for a founder group. But the source mentioned something even more, well, striking. It said, some of these tables even simulate future earning projections based on global activity. That's putting some serious predictive power right into the user's hands.
It's a pretty significant detail, I agree. If you connect this back to the bigger picture, these specialized AI tools, these predictive insights for founders, it reinforces their kind of unique position within the whole ecosystem, leveraging that AI backend to give them personalized data and, forward-looking forecasts that not everyone gets.
Right, so the AI isn't just managing data and commissions behind the scenes, it's also being used to provide these, predictive insights and specific tools for certain user groups.
Okay. Beyond the tech and the money, did the source touch on the community side of things? Anything happening around this June wave?
Oh, absolutely. The conversation really highlighted a big push on community engagement leading up to June. Something like over 20 regional webinars happening just in the first half of the month. Wow, 20 regional webinars in just 2 weeks.
Right.
That's a coordinated effort. What were they covering?
Well, the source mentioned weekly OConnect meetings focusing on topics like, digital wallets, AI bots, affiliate empowerment, stuff like that. And importantly, they apparently featured testimonials from founders in different places. Kenya, India, UAE, the US were mentioned. The quote used to describe this was that it represented a revival of global collaboration.
Hearing directly from founders across different continents. Yeah, that definitely reinforces that global movement idea they mentioned earlier. Was there any hint about the longer-term vision? Or maybe identity?
There was a moment touching on that, yeah. On strategic vision and potential rebranding, there was some speculation mentioned in the conversation around a name like Onfusion leading into the CEO's response.
Okay, interesting. How did the source frame that potential future then? What was the response?
Well, the CEO's response, as presented in the source, was quite intriguing, framed very carefully. Something like, without confirming or denying, I can say ONPASSIVE is evolving. What we're building is bigger than one brand. Expect surprises.
Bigger than one brand and expect surprises. Okay. That leaves a lot open to interpretation, but it definitely signals, forward movement beyond just the current ONPASSIVE scope.
Seems that way.
So, all right, pulling all this together then.
Yeah.
Based on this 80-minute conversation you analyzed, the June 2025 updates seem to point to some pretty significant, maybe even architectural level changes across the whole ONPASSIVE ecosystem, all powered by this new AI infrastructure they're calling the tables.
Yeah.
And this AI enables these autonomous, data-driven processes, particularly automating how commissions are distributed based on specific performance metrics, and providing advanced analytics, even predictive tools, especially for those original founders.
The source definitely paints a very dynamic picture, yeah. It used phrases like ONPASSIVE being on fire towards the end of the chat. And the stated focus isn't just on, launching products anymore. It's aiming at launching lifestyles, trying to move the internet from just passive use to active impact.
It's a bold vision, certainly, as presented in the source material you shared. So you've heard about the transformation of the ecosystem architecture, the introduction of these AI-powered tables, linking activity to insights, the updated commission model, automated by AI, including those special tables for founders, and the emphasis on community events, plus that hint about a future identity.
It seems pretty clear these updates are meant to mark a really significant inflection point for the platform.
Definitely. So here's a thought for you, our listener, to consider as we wrap up. Given everything we've unpacked from the source about this integration of AI, from powering back-end tables that link user activity and predict insights, to automating commission distribution based on engagement, and even simulating future earnings for founders. What does this level of autonomous data management and predictive analysis really mean for how online business ecosystems might function in the future? And maybe, how does it redefine the relationship between the platform itself, the participant on that platform, and their actual performance? Something to think about.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we give you that shortcut to being, well, really well-informed.
Yeah, we sift through all the material.
Exactly. We pull out the key insights, those bits you really need to know, minus all the usual noise, just clarity, maybe a few surprises.
And today we're diving into something pretty big. The ONPASSIVE ecosystem 2.0.
Right.
And they're quite clear, this isn't positioned as just some minor tweak. They're calling it a reinvention.
A reinvention. Okay.
At its core, the idea is a secure, intelligent, fully automated experience. And it's meant for, well, pretty much everyone, businesses, individuals, and their affiliates too.
That's a bold description. So reinvention, we definitely need to unpack that. We'll get into the key things they say make it different, like this O-Verify thing, the new Owallet.
And the whole financial side underpinning it.
Yeah, exactly. Our job here is to help you understand what's really important in all the material we've looked at.
And getting how these pieces fit together, they can really give you those aha moments. You get a clearer sense of this digital transformation they're aiming for without, grounding in tech specs.
Perfect. So let's start right there. This claim of reinvention. What does that actually mean beyond just, say, our regular software update? What's the big shift?
Well, it seems to be a pretty fundamental overhaul, actually. From the user perspective, they talk about a much smoother dashboard, more intuitive.
Okay.
And under the hood, tighter integrations, things syncing up in real time across their main tools.
Like Omail, OConnect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Omail, OConnect for the video stuff, OTracker for analytics, those foundational pieces. But the really new breakthroughs, the headliners, are O-Verify and the totally upgraded Owallet.
Okay, O-Verify. That name keeps popping up. Seems like one of the most talked about parts. For someone new to this, what is O-Verify? What's its job?
So O-Verify is basically ONPASSIVE system for secure digital identity. Think of it as a validation system using biometrics and documents.
More than just standard KYC then?
Yeah, it goes quite a bit beyond traditional know your customer. It leverages AI for things like facial recognition, cross-checking that against government IDs.
Right.
And something they call dynamic liveness checks.
Dynamic liveness checks. Okay, that sounds kind of intense. What does that actually involve? Can you break that down?
Sure. It's actually pretty clever. Instead of just matching a static photo, the AI looks for small, real-time movements.
Oh.
It might ask you to blink, or maybe turn your head slightly, maybe even read a quick phrase.
So it knows you're actually there, live.
Precisely. It makes it really, really hard for someone to trick the system with just a picture or, even a deepfake video. It confirms a real person is present.
Like a digital passport almost.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's very much like a digital passport for their whole ecosystem.
So you do it once and that's it.
Exactly. You go through this robust verification process just one time, and then that single verified identity works everywhere within ONPASSIVE.
For what kind of things?
For Owallet transactions, for securely logging in as an affiliate, even for getting access to their big global events. And the key thing here, the real purpose, is protecting user integrity, stopping people from creating fake duplicate accounts.
Right, which messes up commissions.
Exactly. It ensures fair commission distribution. It's really a foundational layer of trust for the whole system.
Okay, that makes sense. And that brings us to Owallet, which you said is the financial heart. And it's been entirely rebuilt. What's new in Owallet 2.0? What are the big changes?
Yeah, rebuild seems accurate. It's a complete reconstruction. A huge thing is the multi-currency support.
Okay.
It now handles major fiat currencies, USD, euros, Kenyan shillings, Indian rupees.
Wow.
And also key cryptos like Bitcoin and USDT.
And is it just holding them or?
No, it's more than that. It's got AI-driven fraud protection built for handling these different currencies features for instant conversion between them.
Ah, handy.
And really important for affiliates, a real-time display of their earnings. You see your balance, what's come in recently right there.
That real-time aspect seems key. Now, what about getting money out? How flexible is that? Can people withdraw to, say, a normal bank account or crypto wallets?
Flexibility seems to have been a major goal there, yes. They offer pretty comprehensive options.
Like,
Direct bank withdrawals using local transfers were available, and SWIFT for international payments.
okay.
For crypto, you can send funds out to major external wallets. They mentioned Binance, Trust Wallet, SafePal by name.
Right.
And they've also integrated mobile money withdrawals in several key countries.
Oh, interesting. Where specifically?
They've listed Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, and India.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big deal for accessibility in those markets.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears to the engine driving a lot of this, the commissions. With Owallet handling the money side, how does Ecosystem 2.0 actually calculate and manage those commissions?
Right, the commission engine. It's central, and it's designed to be dynamic. They emphasize that AI calculates commissions in real time.
Real time again?
Yes, and it works based on 4 main models.
Okay, what are those?
First, you got the direct referral bonus. That's pretty standard, a percentage of sales from people you directly bring in.
Makes sense.
Second is the matching bonus. This one's based on your team's performance down 3 levels.
3 levels deep. Okay.
Third, there's something called the performance pool. Top performers get to share in a global bonus pool, sort of an extra reward for high achievers.
Incentivizing the top players.
Exactly. And fourth, residual earnings. These are the ongoing commissions you get when your team members renew their subscriptions.
So multiple streams within their system. And you mentioned transparency and real-time calculations. How does a user actually track all this? Can they see it easily?
They claim full transparency is a priority. Every transaction, every commission earned is apparently recorded on what they term a decentralized internal ledger.
Decentralized, so not just a company database.
That's the implication. The idea is it's like a distributed record verified across multiple points simultaneously. This makes it extremely difficult to tamper with. It's meant to build trust.
I see. And can I, as a user, see my earnings instantly?
Yes, that's the promise. The Owallet dashboard is designed to give you those real-time updates. You can apparently see breakdowns by like which product generated the commission, which country, even how specific parts of your team are performing.
That level of detail sounds pretty useful for affiliates.
Absolutely. It's all about immediate clarity and building confidence that the system is working correctly.
Okay, so that covers earning. Let's talk practicalities, getting the money out. What are the rules, the formulas for withdrawal? Any strategies they suggest?
The mechanics seem pretty clear. There's a minimum withdrawal amount set at $10 USD.
Okay, pretty low threshold.
Yes. And withdrawals aren't available every day. They're processed on set days, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay, specific days. What about fees?
There's a flat fee, 1.5%, but it's capped at a maximum of $10 per withdrawal.
Capped at $10, right? And how fast does the money arrive?
Processing times vary by method. Crypto is fastest, they say 5 to 30 minutes typically.
Wow.
Bank transfers, as you'd expect, take longer, 2 to 3 business days. And mobile money withdrawals are quoted as 1 to 12 hours.
So reasonably quick turnaround overall.
Yeah.
Now about strategy. What advice do they give affiliates? Just take it all out.
Actually, no. They actively encourage a reinvestment strategy. The advice is often to withdraw maybe only 50% of your earnings.
Any other 50%.
Reinvest it back into the ecosystem, buy marketplace products, which could potentially generate more activity or commissions down the line.
Interesting. Any other uses for the Owallet funds?
Yes, they suggest using the Owallet balance to fund incentives for your own team members or to buy traffic through specific internal campaigns.
Internal campaigns.
They call them Oh Blessed campaigns.
Oh, blessed campaigns. Okay, what are those, briefly?
Essentially, they're ONPASSIVE's own internal advertising or lead generation service. Affiliates can use their wallet funds to buy these campaigns to help grow their network within the system.
Ah, so it's a kind of closed loop for business development.
Sort of, yeah. And one more thing on withdrawals, users can apparently set up automation preferences. Choose to withdraw automatically, daily, weekly, or monthly if they prefer.
Lots of control there. Okay, final area then, global reach. How accessible is this ecosystem 2.0 worldwide? How do they handle users in different regions, maybe with different internet quality?
It's built from the ground up for global access. It's entirely cloud-based, so theoretically available anywhere with internet. They state availability in over 220 countries.
Wow. That's extensive.
And it's translated into more than 30 languages. To make onboarding easier, especially in Africa and Asia, they've integrated local payment gateways.
Smart move.
But maybe the most interesting part for global access is what they call AI adaptive bandwidth.
AI adaptive bandwidth, what does that mean in practice? Sounds like it helps people with slower connections.
That's exactly the idea. The system is designed to intelligently detect the user's internet speed and then adjust how much data it sends and receives accordingly. So whether you're on superfast fiber or a, slower mobile connection somewhere remote,
Right.
the platform automatically optimizes itself to stay responsive and accessible. It aims to cut down on frustrating loading times or getting disconnected.
That seems crucial for genuine global usability.
Absolutely. It tackles a major practical barrier.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive. It certainly paints a picture of ONPASSIVE ecosystem 2.0 as definitely more than just a tech refresh. The way it's presented, it's framed as a real step towards, financial transformation for its users and a concrete example of what they call digital empowerment.
Yeah, bringing all those pieces together.
We've seen how O-Verify is meant to lock down identity, how Owallet is built to manage and grow earnings globally, the commission structures designed for financial impact, and that focus on global access right down to the bandwidth.
Indeed. And it really highlights how understanding these connections, the implications, is where the real value lies. Hopefully listeners can reflect on that broader picture now.
Absolutely. So as you think about everything we've discussed, here's something to chew on. What does this kind of highly automated, globally accessible ecosystem, one that deeply integrates identity, finance, and business building tools, what could that mean for the future of individual financial empowerment and maybe digital business itself on a worldwide scale?
A big question.
Definitely something to ponder. We hope this deep dive has given you some solid insights to start your own thinking. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a concept that's been sparking a lot of conversations in the ONPASSIVE community, surprise commissions. We've sifted through quite a bit, reports from product strategists, little hints in webinars trying to decode what this intriguing idea means, how it might unfold, and really what it could mean for you.
Indeed. And our research, it's followed some interesting trails, whispers of advanced AI, smart data compression.
Okay.
And hints about this secure vault data.
Yeah.
It all sort of points towards a strategic layer in ONPASSIVE that maybe isn't fully out in the open yet.
So this deep dive is about connecting those dots.
Exactly. Bringing that clearer picture to you.
Okay, let's really unpack this then. Surprise commissions, the name itself sounds almost, too good to be true. What are we actually talking about here?
Well, from the sources we've looked at, they're essentially defined as latent or hidden earnings.
Earnings, okay.
Yeah, think of them as potential payouts that might be delayed or strategically compressed or even coded into these things called legacy user matrices.
Legacy user matrices, what does that mean?
Basically, structured groups of users from the earlier phases. The idea is they might hold some kind of untapped value.
Right.
And the theory goes, once Owallet 2.0, that's the updated global version of their digital wallet, once that goes live, it could trigger these, intelligent payouts tied to your activity, maybe your referrals, or even those early founding timestamps.
So it's not just a simple, you did this, you get that transaction.
Not entirely, no.
It sounds like there's a deeper, maybe an algorithmic appreciation happening. We found that powerful statement from Ash Mufareh, didn't we?
Yes, the one that goes, what's yours is yours, what you don't know yet is still working for you.
Exactly, which, at the time might have sounded a bit vague. But looking back, it seems to point directly at this idea, these AI-controlled conditional releases.
It does seem to fit, yeah.
So what's the strategic thinking there? Rewarding stuff you don't even track.
Well, that leads to the technical side, which is fascinating. How could a system like this actually work?
Right.
The sources suggest that if ONPASSIVE is really integrating blockchain protocols.
Which is that decentralized, secure ledger system.
Precisely. If they're integrating that with the wallets, then these surprise commissions could manifest for you in ways that are automated and verifiable.
How so? Like what?
Well, it could be token-based incentives.
Yeah.
Or smart contracts.
The self-executing agreements, like a digital vending machine.
Kind of, yeah. They automatically trigger payouts when certain conditions are met, or maybe even retro payouts to qualified founders based on where they sat in those older structures.
That definitely sounds like it would need a super secure, tamper-proof distribution method.
Absolutely.
Could that mean using ONPASSIVE's own tokens? maybe these O coins we hear about, as bonus assets.
That's a key question, isn't it? Using a proprietary token like an O coin would allow for, seamless internal distribution. Value that could potentially turn into real Owallet credit, or maybe be used for other ONPASSIVE services.
Right.
The key takeaway here, if these technologies are integrated, is that it suggests ONPASSIVE is building a system for, well, trustless automated rewards.
Where your long-term contributions get recognized by the system itself, not just someone deciding.
Exactly. That seems to be the implication for the sources.
Okay, building on that. Let's look at Ash Mufareh's history and patterns, because this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
I agree.
There seems to be a consistent theme that might shed light on all this.
Absolutely. The sources we looked at consistently highlight this pattern, where Ash Mufareh has reportedly rewarded long-term loyalty, belief in the vision.
Example?
Well, things like gifting founders lifetime licenses or making those refund promises. The sources see these as pretty significant gestures, appreciation for the early believers.
So it's not just a one-off, but a pattern.
Seems like it.
And I remember reading something about a buffer vault mentioned on a leadership call. What was that about?
Yeah, that speaks to a deliberate plan, doesn't it? The buffer vault was described as an internal reserve, held specifically for future appreciation distribution.
So basically a pool of value set aside just for these kinds of surprises.
That's the idea presented, yes.
Yes.
And furthermore, our research found discussions about smart cycles.
Smart cycles.
With OES v2.0, the next ecosystem evolution being active, and harvesting data from tools like OConnect.
The meeting platform.
Right, and O-Tracker for analytics, Odesk for support. The system could potentially calculate and distribute this surprise value based directly on your engagement, your contribution.
Wow. Okay, so putting that all together, it suggests a layered system, rewarding not just direct sales, but loyalty, engagement, foundational support.
Moving beyond traditional commissions, perhaps.
Definitely seems like it. So given all that, let's break down some possible types of payouts you might see. What do the hypothetical models look like?
Okay, well, our sources outline a few interesting ones. First, a legacy founder reward. For those who got in really early,
Yeah.
acknowledging that foundational support.
Makes sense.
Then, a global connector bonus for people who actively helped grow the community, brought in new affiliates. Rewarding network building.
Okay.
Third, an AI engagement bonus. This one's based directly on how much you use the ONPASSIVE products. Shows the system rewarding active participation.
Right, using the tools.
Then there's Owallet loyalty drops, kind of like crypto airdrops, but happening inside the ONPASSIVE ecosystem, a loyalty bonus.
Interesting.
And finally, a really intriguing one, OnFusion Crosslink.
OnFusion, the upcoming digital identity platform.
That's the one. The idea is it could inherit some of this surprise. Like maybe just your ONPASSIVE email ID triggers something when you log into OnFusion, leveraging your existing presence.
That is fascinating. Okay, lots of possibilities there. But what about the practicalities? Many of you are probably wondering, is this cash or points?
Good question.
And are there, minimum thresholds, hoops to jump through?
The consensus from the sources we looked at, likely a mix, both cash and points.
A mix, okay.
These points could potentially convert into actual Owallet credit. And some might even be these utility tokens.
Digital assets for use within the ecosystem.
Exactly. Now, regarding thresholds, yes, highly probable.
Like what?
Likely tied to completing your KYC verification.
The Know Your Customer Identity check. Standard stuff for financial things.
Right, and maintaining some minimum level of product activity, like using Omail, Onet, or OConnect consistently each month, perhaps.
So you need to be verified and active.
That seemed to be the strong suggestion, yes.
Now, during our research, we found something quite powerful, what was described as a pre-recorded message from Ash Mufareh himself, sort of encapsulating the spirit of all this.
Yes, that message.
It's worth hearing, I think. You believed when it was hard. You stayed when it looked impossible. What you're about to experience isn't a payout. It's appreciation, multiplied. Surprise is the on-end switch of the heart. Wait for the click.
Powerful wording.
It really frames these commissions as more than just money, doesn't it? Connects it to loyalty, perseverance.
Definitely sets an emotional tone. It's positioned as appreciation.
So with that in mind, what can you actually do to be ready if these, surprise drops happen?
The advice from the sources is pretty clear on this. Make sure your Omail, Owallet, OConnect accounts, they're all synced up and active.
Keep everything current.
Exactly. And crucially, complete your O-Verify, update visual ID, information strongly emphasizes these appreciation drops won't go to inactive profiles.
You'll keep your digital house in order, basically.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, it's one thing to talk hypotheticals, future possibilities,